If you find yourself in trouble, count on me, my friend. I'll get right up in trouble's face. You won't see him again. I've got the backbone, American. I've got the heart, American. I've got the will, American. Will you stand up, don't sit down. Stand up, don't back down. Stand up, shout it out. Stand up, let's make it loud. American, American.
Welcome to another exciting show with Southern Sense on Blog Talk Radio. So turn up the volume and enter our chat room or grab your phones. Call in and join the conversation. Help us to restore the Republic to this country and inspire the majority to be silent no longer.
Well, look me straight in the eye. Tell me what you see. I'll tell the truth every time. Yes, you can count on me. I've got the backbone, American. I've got the heart, American. I've got the will, American. Will you stand up, don't sit down. Stand up, don't back down. Stand up and shout it out. Stand up, let's make it loud. American, 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 American. American.
Welcome back to another exciting episode of Southern Sense here on Blog Talk Radio. High Plains Media, SHR Media, Kinetic Hi-Fi, The Fix FM out of Charleston, South Carolina. Oh, just go to our radio page and just click on the radio tab. It's the name of the show, Southern Sense, put a hyphen in the middle, southern-sense.com, and check us out. I'm your hostess with the mostest, the radio chick, along with my so intellectual co-host Curtis C.S. Bennett. Good afternoon, Curtis.
How are you, Andy? Looks like we got another nice lineup here. I'm ready to go.
Absolutely. We've got a lot of exciting things to talk about. We've got great guests that are going to be joining us after we do the dedication. And I do want to do a special shout-out and hello to someone that's listening in on the show, someone who tirelessly always plugs the show. I want to go out to a sweet Sue in New Mexico. And Sue, this is just for you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy
Happy birthday to Sweet Sue from New Mexico. Today is her birthday. I picked that out just for her. It was cute little chipmunks dancing. You couldn't see that, but you can hear them singing. Oh, man. All right, now down to the more serious stuff. Those that do listen to the show know that we start off each show with a dedication to a fallen hero. And unfortunately, there were 3 of them this weekend, Martin Luther King weekend. 3 police officers were executed this weekend in 3 separate states. And today's dedication is going to go out to one of those officers. And this is going to go out to Utah officer Doug Barney, who was shot and killed in Holiday, Utah on Sunday, this past Sunday. And this is from several different sources. First one is from Fox13Now.com. Police say the officer who was shot and killed in Holiday Sunday had no time to react when he approached the suspect, Corey Lee Henderson. Officer Doug Barney suffered a bullet wound to the head and died from his injuries at Intermountain Medical Center. Salt Lake City police say Barney was the married father of 3 children who had just overcome cancer a year before his death and was finally enjoying being healthy again and spending time with his family. Barney was an 18-year veteran of the Unified and Taylorsville police departments. He was shot and killed after responding to a traffic accident around 10 a.m. on Sunday. There were injuries in the vehicles, and witnesses on the scene described the occupants of one of the involved vehicles as getting out of their damaged vehicle and leaving on foot, said Salt Lake City Sheriff Jim Winder. Barney tried to chase the suspects, but when he approached them, the male suspect, Corey Lee Henderson, shot him fatally once in the head. Barney was transported to Intermountain Medical Center where he died from his injuries that afternoon. We all, in law enforcement, lost a great officer today, and so did the community in which they serve, said Chief Mike Brown with the Salt Lake City Police Department. Unified Police Department spokesman Lex Bell, a good friend of Barney's, said Barney had recently overcome bladder cancer, which he had been battling for 7 years. He said he was about his work. He had cancer for a long time and fought hard, and there were a couple of occasions where he got really, really sick, and has always powered through it, Bell said. Barney is survived by his wife and 3 children. Bell says his kids are distraught over their father's death. It's always a tragedy when someone dies young and leaves people behind, he said. Bell said hundreds of officers showed up to the hospital to show their support. He says they will be organizing a memorial service where they will be celebrating his life and their good memories. We'll celebrate the life of Doug Barney and all of his accomplishments he made and what he's overcome, Bell said. Barney is the first officer to die from a suspect gunfire in Utah this year. The last officer shot and killed in Utah were Utah City Sheriff Sergeant Corey Ride in 2004 and Draper City Police Sergeant Derek Johnson in 2013. And this is from KUTV. Officer Doug Barney, killed in the line of duty Sunday, was known and loved by many. He made a major impact in so many of his students at a local school where he had worked extra shifts as a school resource officer, and by his fellow officers who say they couldn't have asked for a more selfless colleague. He is also mourned by many at 2 News, where Officer Barney worked many nights and weekends as a security guard. He was working at 2 News Saturday night with crowd control and escorting employees to their cars after the late show. We lost one of the nicest, best guys you'll ever meet, said Lieutenant Lex Bell. As close as brothers were, that's an understatement. I think of him as my brother. Barney and Bell attended the police academy together and started with the police department at the same time. He and I were in Kearns and then went on to Magna for a long time. We went through a lot together, Bell said. Every call, he tried to be the first one there. Anybody needed help, he'd always come. Bell said on one call, he tracked down a suspect after a foot pursuit, but was struggling with him on the ground when Barney came to the scene to help. All of a sudden, I see the fence go down, Bell recalled. He rammed, knocked the fence right down, just boom. Then he gets back up and runs over and helps me out. Nothing was going to stop him from getting to me when I needed help. Barney was described as a family man, devoted to his wife and 3 children. He was also described by Bell as a devoted public servant. He's one of those people that loved other people and loved to serve. That's why he got into this job, was to help, Bell said. He was always the guy to try and help whoever he was working with. If you go through every person he's ever arrested, you'd have had a hard time finding someone who doesn't like him. That didn't last once, at least on the way to jail. He was always cracking a joke. He was just that kind of a guy. Barney battled cancer for 12-some years, Bell said, but he never heard his friend complain. He was simply determined to beat it. Cancer wasn't going to kill him, that's for sure. He beat it for 12 years. That's not going to get him, Bell said. But it's just tragic that a bullet ended his life, and for no good reason. Officer Barney was an 18-year veteran of the department. He was only 44 years old. This show is dedicated to Officer Barney and to all first responders out there, be they EMT, firefighters, or law enforcement. But it's also dedicated to all the brave men and women who have served, who are serving, and who will serve in our armed forces. We dedicate this song by Todd Allen Harrington. My name is
In the grip of oppression, I fought for my liberty. I paid with the blood of my people. Freedom has never been free. Now my door's always open to dreamers and friends. When I'm attacked, I protect and defend, because my name is America. I stand proud and free. My name is America. Don't tread on me. I cannot be broken. I cannot be shamed. If you hurt me, I'll get stronger, and I'll rise up from the flames, and I'll always stand proud and free. I'm America, don't tread on me. America is my name. My strength was not taken from others. Others gave it to me. They believe in the virtues I stand for, my respect for humanity. Now I'm challenged by tyrants who envy my power, but their vicious deeds become my finest hour. Because my name is America, I stand proud and free. My name is America, don't tread on me. I cannot be broken, I cannot be shamed. If you hurt me, I'll get stronger, and I'll rise up from the flames, and I'll always stand proud and free. I'm America, don't tread on me. America is my name. For those who need me, I'll always be here. For those who will harm me, I'll face without fear. But I'll always stand proud and free. I'm America, don't tread on me. I'm America, yes, America is my name. It's my
Todd Allen Harrington. My name is America, and go and download it for free by going to his website, toddallenshow.com. You're here listening to Southern Sense here on Blog Talk Radio, High Plains Daily News, and I finally got that right, SHR Media, Kinetic Hi-Fi, the Fix FM out of Charleston. I'll just go to our webpage, which is southern-sense.com or southern-sense.com. Just put a little line in the middle, and that's our show. We also have a new player on our webpage, too. So if you're having problems with BTR for any reason, just go to our webpage and you can listen to it live right there. And we got our chat room open. Want to welcome everyone up here in the chat room. And we got our guest coming up. Curtis, you ready to rock and roll?
I'm ready to rock and roll.
All right. Well, let's bring along Kel Fritzy of Red Fox Radio and EDL. Good afternoon, Kel.
Hello, Annie. Hi, Curtis.
Ooh. What do you got? A storm going on in the background? Kel, you may want to call back in. You've got a lot of interference, hon.
I'll be right back. Hang on.
All right. Oh, sounds like we're out in the middle of a winter storm. And, of course, BTR is not going to let me put the mute on. So bear with us. There we go. And that's not doing it. And let's try this. It is our other guest, Tanya. Tanya, if you can call back in, it was your line, not Kel's, that is causing a lot of that interference. It sounded like a windstorm going on. So as these two young ladies try to call back in, everyone knows that over the weekend I was up in Myrtle Beach at the South Carolina Tea Party Coalition Convention. And those that weren't listening while we were live, we did 6 hours, Ken McClinton and I, and we interviewed 20 celebrities. And while we're in the midst of doing that, I went to look for Wild Bill. And if anyone's ever seen his video, you know exactly who I'm talking about, Wild Bill Finley. And I went to go looking for him to bring him on air. And the next thing I know, as I'm standing in the hall and they're making their announcements, whatever, I hear my name being called. And I'm going, what the heck? And I'm standing next to a friend of mine, and she's pushing me down the center aisle saying, go up to the stage, go up to the stage. I was like, what? They're calling my name, come on up. And I ended up receiving from the South Carolina Tea Party Coalition Convention a Patriot Award to me for my Tea Party in recognition of 5 years of selfless patriotism and support. And it's a wonderful, beautiful little placard. And I'll see if I can put it up on my website later. Let's see if we can get Kel back in. And waiting for Tanya to call back in. Kel, it was Tanya, not you, but that's okay.
Hey, there you go. Once again. Hi, Annie. Hi, Curtis.
How you doing, Kel?
Doing very well. It's a pleasure to speak with you, Curtis. First time I've spoken with you.
Yeah.
First time for everything.
It won't be the last time, hopefully.
It won't be. Absolutely not. So, what's new? Where shall I start?
Oh, man.
Never ends around here.
Oh, geez. You know, I don't even know where to start. I was writing notes down, and as I was doing the show with Ken, I always say I talk right off the top of my head, but I do have, printouts and paperwork. But doing a live show like I did over the weekend, all I had was just a list of names. So as I'm interviewing and I'm talking to them, they're looking to see where my notes are. And all they see is a list of the people I'm interviewing. And I said, that's how I do it. So I made a list last night, and I started off Islam versus Christendom, the Islamization of Europe. And here comes Tanya again. Let's see if we can bring her back on.
Hey.
No, Tanya, unfortunately, we got, again, it's like a windstorm. Oh, my goodness. Oh, now you got feedback. Oh, no. No. Oh, do you have that problem when she calls into your show?
Every once in a while, anybody who calls in via Skype will get that feedback. But if Tanya is listening, just hang up your Skype and redial back in. That's the easiest way. It usually clears itself up.
Oh man, it is. It's like you're coming through a huge monsoon rainstorm or something like that. Ah, geez, I'm so sorry about that.
I'm looking at the slides that you put about the show notes and that picture of me. My goodness, is my hair ever short?
Well, Tanya, please keep on trying again. Sooner or later, it's going to clear up. I know it's annoying, but we do want you to join us. I pulled up this article by John Fund. It was done last year, in National Review, about asking how long Europe can contain these welfare states with these migrants. And finally, Europe is waking up to the problem of it.
Well, they are figuring out that they cannot sustain this exodus. They cannot support the Hijra very much longer. And, the people the citizens are saying, what are you doing to us, especially, of course, what's transpired in Germany, especially what happened in Cologne, Germany on New Year's Eve. And there is one country, though, that is engaging in, a sense of jizya, and that's Switzerland. Switzerland is now saying to all the migrants swimming across into their border, we're going to confiscate at least 1,000 Swiss francs from you to help us sustain you. And the migrants are going, what? It's like reverse jizya, and I'm loving every minute of it.
Oh, God bless the Swiss. Matter of fact, the Swiss were the ones involved in helping get our 4 American hostages out of the Iranian jail.
So I understand,
and matter of fact, there was one that we no one even knew that was there, and he was only there for 40 days. But you also have that former FBI agent that's been missing for, what is it now, the last 7 years?
That's right. Yeah, that's an amazing story in itself.
It is. It is very amazing. And we're going to try Tanya one more time. Hi, Tanya. Is it a snowstorm out there by you? Oh, my goodness, honey. And Tanya, if you're trying to talk, I can't even hear you talking. Oh, Tanya, please try one more time again. Oh, jeez. I feel so horrible for her. She's going to get, dial finger. Her finger's going to start hurting from dialing back in. But
Tanya is great, though. I'm so proud to know Tanya. I was so proud to meet Tanya last month in Ottawa, Ontario, when she was here visiting. She's a lovely, lovely lady, a wealth of knowledge, and I hope that she can get the audio fixed, because to listen to this woman speak, you'll be amazed. She's just absolutely fantastic.
Oh, yeah, she is. I've listened to her on your show a couple of times, and it was always a pleasure to listen to her. What we in America don't know, she can fill volumes, absolutely volumes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
she's got her, I mean, if you want to know what's going on in Europe, that's the lady to go to, definitely, for sure. And with her knowledge of Islam, it's unbelievable. The woman's a walking encyclopedia.
Tanya's going to try to reboot her computer. Maybe that might help do it. So hopefully she'll be back with us in a few minutes. But in this National Review article, he's saying Margot Wallström, Sweden's Social Democratic foreign minister, back in November, declared that the refugee flow with its current population of 9.8 million was enormous. And she said, we cannot maintain a system where perhaps 190,000 people will arrive every year. In the long run, our system will collapse. And that welcome is not going to receive popular support. To Sweden, 190 million refugees is the equivalent of 6.5 million people arriving in the U.S. That's phenomenal.
Yeah, and they cannot sustain that. They cannot sustain it monetarily. They're going to totally drain their reserves. And plus, too, it's going to be a drain on the infrastructure. It's going to be a drain on, the social fabric of the country itself. I mean, these are not immigrants of yesteryear, as it were. These are migrants from Islamic states, and they are coming with a whole new bag of problems. They're bringing their social problems with them. They're bringing their cultural issues with them. And they are obviously not integrating. We saw what happened, like I say, in Cologne, Germany on New Year's Eve, when they engaged in what is a sanctioned practice under Sharia law called Taharrush. And that is when it's also pronounced Tashara Jama, which is an Arabic translation, and it translates to collective harassment. And then there is the Tashra Gamma, and that is also harassment and sexual assault. And then there is the Taharrush al-Jinsi, which is actual sexual harassment and assault. And that's what we saw in Cologne, Germany. Now, this is a sanctioned practice amongst men. It's a sport to them. And it is sanctioned under the Quran, because if you find a lone woman, you swarm her, you rape her, you assault her, you kick her, you beat her, and practically leave her for dead. And this is what they do on a good old Saturday night.
Let's go have some fun. Let's beat up some infidels. There's an article that was in RT.com, and It's a German officer who actually, dropped the dime on the whole situation. And the title of the article is, "We Can't Arrest Him. German police officer speaks out on refugees." And this part I definitely have to read. A German police officer told media that law enforcement cannot efficiently tackle crime among refugees without being accused of excessive violence or racism, while many dangerous incidents are played down or kept secret to maintain desirable statistics. The federal officer, referred to as Bernard K., has shared his experiences with Bild newspaper, having worked for 6 months at Munich train station and was also in the refugee hotspots of Passau and Freising in Bavaria. At first, mostly families with children who looked educated and spoke English were coming here, the officer told. Meanwhile, 95% of the refugees are now single men.
Mm-hmm.
People do not know what happens in reality, even when it comes to violence or physical abuse, as the general picture looks softened, he continued. One asylum seeker wanted to cut his fellow's throat, but the crime scene report included only severe injuries rather than murder attempt. This looks better for the statistics, Bernard K. explained. In his view, the crime rate among refugees far exceeds that of the local population. For the last couple of months, I had only one criminal charge against a German. The rest of the suspects were only refugees. And now that's impossible unless it is what do you call it, Cal?
A Taher? Yeah, Taharush. Tashirogamia, primarily, yeah.
But he's arrested only one German, and every last one of the other arrests were all refugees. Referring to abuse and harassment against women, similar to that took place in Cologne on New Year's Eve, the officer said such cases are widespread in Bavaria as well. At the train station, women are sexually harassed and offended on a regular basis. When we speak of an entry job to the area, they would shout at us, "You are not my police, you are a racist." However, when a refugee needs to be controlled, the police cannot arrest him even for a while, the officer said, citing superior's office orders prescribing not to use coercive action. Our domestic rule is, better let him run away. Wow.
No. Islam is the new black, don't you know? Is that they are treated as a protected species, as it were. And that's no denigration on black people, of course. But this is, they're treating their situation like they feel that they're being persecuted because of their religion and their race. And I believe it was the Muslim Brotherhood who started throwing around that term Islamophobia, and they are playing on that. It's a political ploy, of course, but this is what they're doing. They are playing the victim card. Look at me, I'm a poor migrant, for example. To be micro about it. I'm the poor migrant here. I'm running for my life. There's a strife in my country. Please help me and my family. But they come over, and how many genuine refugees do you see wearing designer clothes with cell phones taking selfies on their boats?
Well, we finally have Curtis. Hang on a second. We finally have Tanya with us. Tanya, good afternoon or good evening.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Tanya.
Oh, God damn! Yes, it works. Oh my God! What a
nightmare.
Well, yeah. Well, you know what? As Cal can tell you, nothing about any of my appearances has gone smoothly. There's always something, always. But I'm here, and now I've missed a whole bunch of this great conversation. What have I missed?
Well, we were talking about the Islamization of Europe, and this one officer who's come forward. He's got a pseudonym, Bernard K., and this was an article in the Bild, and he's saying that we are told we cannot arrest the refugees. If they do, they will be called racist. One guy turned around and said to him, "You're not my police, you're a racist." Superiors are telling them, better let them run away, talking about the sexual harassment of women, and it's not just in Cologne, it's widespread. And this officer works in Bavaria, and he said originally when they came over, it was families well dressed, well educated, spoke well, and then all of a sudden now, 95% of the refugees are single men.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's awful. True.
What I would like to add is that they don't tell you in the news that these young men, these so-called refugees, they bring with them draconian views on women and their treatment of women.
That's right.
They tried to sweep that under the rug. Now, we didn't have this problem 20, 30 years ago. And it's just to my surprise that, on my visits to Israel, and I've been to Israel a couple of times, they live pretty much in harmony with the Muslims that are in that country. And I was just wondering how Israel, one of the most hated countries on the planet in the eyes of Islam, how they managed to do it, but they just seem to have this different scenario in Europe. I just can't figure it out.
They probably don't have the overwhelming number that we're starting to see here, and they've had a longer time to assimilate. And I don't think they put up with any BS.
And not only that, they must put a limit on how many can come. And I think that's the mistake the West is doing, not putting a limit.
Yeah. Well, speaking of which, I just read in the Daily Mail that there is a 2,100% rise in migrants crossing the Mediterranean. Shocking figures reveal 31,244 arrived in Greece during the first 16 days of 2016.
Wow.
31,244 arrived in Greece. That is appalling.
No, it's going to be a huge civil war, clash of cultures in Europe.
I'm afraid it's going to happen this year.
Well, it's already started to happen, and I'm looking for the article. I just had it here just in front of me. In Germany, and I probably won't be able to pronounce the names of these groups, but you probably are very familiar with them over there. One of them is related to, where is it? Pegida, Pegida.
Pegida.
All right. Mm-hmm. And there's a Leipzig branch.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a birthday demonstration. I can't even put it. Legida, Legida. Yeah. And over 100 shops were vandalized by them. And they're also so upset. These hooligans vandalized the shops run by these refugees, migrants.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it has already started.
Yeah,
have you heard about that?
The extreme right, the Nazis. Yeah, the Nazi extreme right freaks. They are for the first bit. They're giving us a really bad name. The genuine concerned citizens of Europe. They're giving us a really bad name, and everybody's thinking they're lumping us together with these morons. And yeah, it's starting. It's really it's going to be bad, I think.
Well, isn't Pegida UK already facing a backlash as well? I understand that Tommy Robinson was arrested last week, Tanya. He believes that it was on some trumped-up charge or something.
Yeah, it was related to some incident in prison where I think it was a Somali guy that he was defending himself basically. The Somali, as far as I understand, because I've read his book, and I think this may be related to that one, where somebody put out a hit on him, and they were going to shower him with boiling water and sugar, which essentially makes your skin melt off. And then he hit back, as far as I understand it. And anyhow, he got charged, of course, with assault. And now, I'm not sure what's going to happen with that. But Tommy Robinson is by far not out of the hot water yet. He really isn't. They are they're out to get him in every way possible. I don't know if you have read his book, but it's really shocking. It's shocking. It's more than shocking. It's most of it's illegal and appalling what the British government, the British police are doing. Really.
Well, that's the British government. Yeah.
Well, Tommy and Kel, since a lot of listeners don't know who Tommy Robinson is, can you explain who he is so that they can understand where the conversation's going?
Oh yeah, sorry, Tommy Robinson. He was he's a young man who started the English Defence League back in its time, and he was kind of one of our four. He was one of the first that really sort of got a movement going, because people were starting to see that there was a problem, and he carried that on for quite some time and got into a lot of trouble because of that, and got thrown into the slammer. But he's a freedom fighter in my mind. He's an absolute freedom fighter, and he's doing what he can. He's well spoken, and he knows what he's talking about, and he does whatever he can to try to protect Britain and Europe from the invaders. And anyhow, he stopped with the EDL, and for various reasons I won't go into here. But now he's started up the Pegida UK together with Paul Weston and Mary Ann Waters. Now Paul Weston is he's a politician in Britain, the head of Liberty UK, and they're all three very, very, very intelligent people, and they've started this Pegida movement in England, much like they have it in Germany. Pegida in Dresden. I don't know if you've heard about or read about Pegida in Dresden, where they have upward of like 40,000 people coming to these demonstrations. People of concerned citizens, basically. So now, yes, Tommy Robinson, Paul Weston, and Anne-Marie Waters will be coming here to my demo on Saturday.
Oh, fantastic!
I know it's more than fantastic. It's like a little kid playing football getting a visit of Beckham. That's how I feel. I'm really quite thrilled, but I'm also nervous as all heck, because it's security and want everything to go well, and the press is going to be in over, and it's going to be very interesting. And then I'm going with them, traveling with them to Dresden on Sunday.
Where's your demonstration going to be at?
It's here in Copenhagen, right in the center of town.
A beautiful town. I actually, the last time I was there, was 1978. Whoa, God, I might now.
Back when things were still normal.
Yeah. No, it's funny because now with the refugee situation, Europe has extremely strict gun laws and gun control, but Germans are finding a way to purchase them, and they're saying gun sales are now up. And
pepper spray and all kinds of stuff.
Where we used to be the ugly American clinging to your gods and guns, suddenly they're looking at it going, ooh, maybe there is something to that.
Yeah.
It is absolutely amazing. Cal, where'd you go?
I'm right here. I'm just putting links in the chat room and giving some people some backstory regarding the English Defence League. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, when Tommy Robinson, when he started the English Defence League, and he started it in 2009, it was born out of Luton, and he was at a homecoming parade for the UK military, and there were a group of Muslims that were denigrating the military. They were burning things and creating problems, and he decided that was enough, and that he had it with the actions of the Mohammedans that were encroaching into his country. And so him, alongside his uncle Kev Carroll, they started the English Defence League, and it has grown into an international movement. We have English Defence League chapters all over the globe right now, and we have inspired so many other organizations to form to counter Islamism within our countries. And, of course, I am so proud of Tanya and Pegida.
Man, it's amazing work that you do. And Kel, when you traveled over, you gave a rousing speech over there too, over in England. And you're a patriot. You are a patriot. And we have to realize that, as you say, if the Muslim population is a small portion, they normally stay quiet and they don't interfere. But now it's gotten to the point where they're out openly. They're openly acting. And we're having the same situation now here in the United States. They call them lone wolves. But as my friend Anne-Marie Lewis said in her interview Saturday. She says, don't call them lone wolves. Wolves are majestic animals. They're majestic and beautiful creatures. Call them lone rats, lone snakes. Call them anything else but a wolf. That's a true story, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And the lone wolf phenomena, that was actually born of the current leader of he is the caliph, and that's you know what? I'll tell you exactly who this guy is and how the lone wolf phenomena actually started. The new caliph, the Islamic State's future caliph, Abraham, his name is Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, and he is the one who started this lone wolf initiative, in that he put out a manifesto, as it were, in that he said that wherever you find them, strike them down, as it were. And I'm trying to think. I have Tim Burton in the chat room. Tim, can you find that chapter and verse for me, Tim? Tim Burton. Tim, I must tell people who Tim is. He's my fellow host at RFB Radio and Radio Jihad. But
well, I was just wondering
that's pretty much how the lone wolf phenomenon started, is because it has always been in the Quran, in that it had always been a tactic of the Islamists, but it's pretty much died down for a number of decades, maybe even centuries at some points. And that, well, when this caliph came out and said, okay, we're fighting in earnest now, this is why we're seeing the phenomena of lone wolf attacks. That's why we're seeing the shooting of police officers and other frontline personnel. And this is why we're seeing hapless citizens being stabbed. And we're seeing it in Canada, too. I don't know. I know the United States is experiencing quite the issue with the lone wolf attacks. But, Tanya, are you seeing it where you are in Copenhagen?
No, well, we did see it at the assassination of one of our citizens here at a free speech event. Yeah, he was a lone wolf. So
it looks
and
Mom,
there are stabbings, and there are lots of stabbings around.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And Call Me Mum just found it for me. And thank you, Mum. It's from the Quran, chapter 2, verse 191 and 193. And kill them wherever you find them, and turn them out from where they have turned you out. And al-fitna, disbelief or unrest, is worse than killing. And so this is what they're doing. They are taking up the torch, and they are killing the infidel wherever they find them. And thus we're seeing these lone wolf attacks. Though, do not be fooled by that term, lone wolf, because they are not acting alone, of course. They are getting their marching orders right from Islamic State down.
Yeah, it's funny because I was reaching across to pull up Usama Daduk's Quran that I have, and I've got like tons of little Post-it notes on there. And yeah, thank you, Mom. You got it faster than I could thumb through it. But I want to remind everyone that if you are listening in on the phone, because I see my switchboard all lit up, and you want to join the conversation, please remember to press 1. I'll be happy to bring you on. For those that are in the chat room, feel free to post your comments. But also, if you want to call in and join the conversation, the number is 917-889-3675. I'm running out of space on my desk. I got so much stuff all over here. I had nowhere to put anything. Oh, my goodness.
I got a question for Cal. Cal.
Mm-hmm.
When you have situations where you may have a Muslim come up from behind you, stab you, or shoot you, whatever, what you call it, I mean, you just don't, you never know. You go out to the mall or the store, what you call that, profiling. If you look at every Muslim with suspicion.
Yeah. Oh. Yes, I would. I would definitely. If a Mohammedan came up to me and harmed me, I would consider it an act of terrorism, not a random act of violence. Is that what you want to? Is that what you are getting at there, Curtis?
Yeah, in a roundabout way, because that's a stigma here. This thing with profiling. But the thing is, when it comes to your life, your family, and your children. You really have to be really alert now out in public. Something we didn't have to
do. and that's exactly it. And this is what Al Baghdadi was saying. He said that what we're going to do is strike fear into the hearts of the unbelievers.
Yeah.
And they are going to be afraid of us. They'll be afraid of walking down their own streets. we will make them fearful sleeping in their own beds. This is the tactic that Islamic State and what Islam has been using, for 1,400 years, is that they conquer by fear, and they conquer us. They conquer our psyche by fear. Look at us. Look at us in the United States. Look at us in Canada and in Europe and in the United Kingdom. Look at us walking about. We still defend Islam, despite the fact that this is a political ideology. It is not a religion, and that they subscribe to putting us in a state of paralysis with fear. And the latest example that really bothers me, Annie and Curtis and Tanya, is what happened in Philadelphia when Edward Archer, when he shot police officer Jesse Hartnett. And the perpetrator, Edward Archer, said that he did it in the name of Allah because he is a Muslim convert, and he took up the call to arms. Right here in the Quran, where it says, strike the unbeliever. Get them wherever you can. And Islamic State, they just put out this manifesto about a year ago, and thus we're seeing a huge surge in these so-called lone wolf attacks. And you're right, Annie, I love wolves. They're beautiful, majestic creatures. I'd prefer to call them lone cockroaches, okay?
How about a viper? Viper.
Oh, I don't know, snakes are kind of cool. But this is what we're seeing. And then what happens is that this mayor, or what's his name, Jim Kenney, he comes out. Now, the police commissioner
had the courage and the guts
to say that this was indeed an act of terrorism, Islamic-inspired terrorism. And then the mayor comes out almost immediately behind him and hits the podium and says, no, this has nothing to do with Islam. This cannot, this is not part of the teachings of Islam. And while I'm watching the video of this, and Philadelphia police officer Jesse Hartnett was shot several times late Thursday, and this guy was going, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, come on. If that's not Islam, what is it already? And so when the police commissioner came out and said, yep, he said it had everything to do with Islam, and then this dimmy of a mayor comes out and says, no, it has nothing to do with Islam. Watching the video of this guy speaking, and seeing the police commissioner standing behind him, the poor police commissioner, his eyes are getting wider and wider and wider. But this is what we're dealing with. Like, we are afraid of Islam. Why are we so afraid of Islam? Why is it that we cannot?
Well, it's funny.
Pandering to a voting bloc.
But it's more than that, Curtis, because my friend Trevor Loudon was at the convention over the weekend, and he's got a new film coming out, The Enemies Within, and it is. I saw the trailer for it. It is absolutely riveting, and he said everything all comes back to communism, and he says if you trace Islam and everything else, it is being guided, it is being pointed by communism. And if you don't think Putin isn't aiming this gun at our head, then think again. They are working hand in hand. Why is Putin working hand in hand with Assad? You think about this. And he said if you trace it back over 200 years, not 200, but 2 centuries, over the last 2 centuries where communism has existed, and he said everything points to being controlled. And the end result, and think about how close to communism in theory is Islam. They've become partners in crime. And this is what it is. It is to create the complete collapse of the West and the subjugation of all people under Islam and communism. And there's no other point to it. And they will use any and every method, including dimwit Bernie Sanders, to accomplish their goals.
Oh, it's civilizational jihad.
It is. It is. And you have stupid, idiotic people like this Labour leader in the UK, Jeremy Corbyn, who sparked outrage after he told the government that they should engage in back-channel talks with ISIS terrorists. Oh, as if talking is going to accomplish anything. No. The heel of my boot on your neck is going to accomplish far more than me going, oh, can we just sit down, please, and talk?
Let's all be friends.
Let's have a cup
Or
of
let's get to
tea.
root causes.
Oh, you must have had a troubled childhood. Oh, don't worry. We'll help you get over it. Yeah.
They're poor. They're disenfranchised. They can't find decent jobs.
Oh, but fortunately, the United States is watching the rest of the world, and the people. This is the good thing, the beautiful thing about the United States, because we still have the ability from the grassroots up to effect change, and the grassroots is seeing what is happening. We're speaking out. We're taking action. And finally, you have police chiefs like the one in Philadelphia recognizing Islamic terrorism for what it is, realizing exactly what Islam stands for. There is now, and I could not print out the article because unfortunately both my printers are out of ink, but there's an article that popped in the news yesterday. I think it was on Fox. There was a family of 3 that died a really horrific death out in California. I think it was in the Berkeley area. It was a father, his wife, and young child. And you see blonde hair, blue-eyed. They look so beautiful, so happy. And what happened was he killed his wife and daughter and then committed suicide with a bullet straight to his forehead. But what the police did not release in the investigation, and what the prosecutor refused to recognize, is that he killed himself, and no one knows how long he was walking around the house because there was bloody bare footprints all over the place. He had written on the wall, Allahu Akbar, and he had the pages open in the Quran, and I forgot what page it was open to, but it was a specific passage dealing with killing the infidels. I guess his wife and daughter didn't want to convert to Islam or something. And now they finally realized this was a jihad. They're recognizing it as an Islamic terrorist action. The fact that it was his wife and daughter is not the point. But finally they're starting to look at past criminal actions and trying to tie in whether or not it is jihad that these crimes are committed. America is waking up. The sleeping giant is starting to stir. And if we don't do it soon and we don't come to the aid of Europe and Canada, our world's going to be lost. That's my rant for the day.
No, the good thing is Americans are still armed.
I'm sorry, say it again, Tanya?
Yeah, the Americans are still armed despite Obama, correct?
And record gun sales.
Yeah. Still, you have the right to bear arms.
Exactly. And it shall not be
fighting chance. We're like sitting ducks over here. We're disarmed. You're not even allowed to have a pepper spray.
Well, I think
you can't arm yourself.
Different than the rest of the world that we are armed. We do have a Second Amendment, but I really think on this last year, hopefully it's his last year, I think he's going to go all out to try to disarm America.
I agree, Curtis. That's scary.
Yeah.
Well, there's been rumblings that Obama may be angling for oh God, what's the name of the guy that's the head of the UN? Oh jeez. Oh gosh, I just had a brain fart.
Ban Ki-moon or something like that.
Yeah, but the name of his position. Jeez. I just had a major
Secretary General.
Yes, thank you, Secretary General of the UN. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen because you need a strong person in that position, and President Obama has proven from day one he is a weak leader.
You know what? If Obama achieves that status within the UN will collapse probably in less than 3-4 years because, unlike Canada with the shiny pony that we have for a prime minister now, God, I miss Stephen Harper so much. But a lot of countries will balk at that of his being appointed to that position. I can see the United Nations collapsing. As a matter of fact, there's already a lot of factors to indicate that the United Nations may be a footnote in history anytime soon because of the infiltration by Muslim states, for example, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, and their proposals like Resolution 1618, and that it would be a crime to criticize all religions, i.e. what they really mean is to criticize Islam. And so they are seeing a lot of fractures within that organization. I all think we should go back to, I'm trying to think of it'll come to me. I'm just having a brain freeze too here. But if Obama achieves that office, no, I can see a lot of countries saying, I'm out of here, just like what the United Kingdom, for example, is trying to do in getting out of the European Union. And Tanya, what you're doing in Copenhagen, trying to extricate yourself from the European Union. And actually, I believe you did. Did you?
Well, no, we had a referendum that in that we didn't. The EU wanted pretty much control over our legal system, or final say, and then we'd have to bow down to other countries' bizarre and backward laws, kind of thing. And the Danes said no.
Good. Good.
Yeah. It was really a big victory. It was great.
Yeah, because
so we are fighting back.
Well, we've got several progressives in our Senate and Congress that are proposing some really outrageous laws, and one of them would be a referendum to. I'm trying to think of the proper word. I'm having major brain farts today, but to make it wrong if you were to criticize Islam, no other religion but only Islam. And that's not going to fly, not with the America as it stands today. Maybe in 100 years when progressives are in complete control, but I don't see that happening at all. They've been doing Obama's gun grab. There are now several lawsuits. This may go to the Supreme Court. So some of the things that Obama has been doing has finally been challenged enough that the Supreme Court is finally saying, well, we may be looking at this one. And that's the 27 states, including mine, have been suing, and they said this is important enough that we have to bring it to the Supreme Court now, not later, not 6 months or 6 years from now, but now. And the Supreme Court saying, I think we may be looking at that. So things are starting to turn around. We'll see.
Amen to that.
Good news.
Yeah. And so, like I said, I mean, over the weekend, the energy and the electricity I felt, the motivation of people to start taking our nation back was more palatable than I had seen in the entire 5 years I've been going there. I mean, America is going to be really fired up this election season. I mean, I had my Tea Party meeting last night, and it was the first time in a long time that I had as many people there as normal. I mean, normally I get maybe half a dozen or a dozen, but last night I looked around and I said, and these are powerful people that have good, solid connections in the community, and I know our next meeting, they're going to drag in more and more people. So come election time, we will be a force to be reckoned with. Wow. Amazing.
That's great.
Oh, someone's got to save the world.
I'm going to be paying close attention to the run up to the American general elections. It's going to be interesting. And like Curtis, like you said, Curtis, Obama, who knows what stunt he's going to pull and suspend the general elections in November. This guy's not done with us, Curtis, Annie, and Tanya. This guy is not done. He's far from done. He's got more ambitious plans to further disintegrate the American people and the American culture and the American country. And this guy is dangerous. I call him the Manchurian candidate. But all the same, say the elections do go off, and we do have a new government, a strong Republican president. A lot of people are talking about Donald Trump, but I understand that the GOP, the good old party, the Republican Party, they're trying to oust him as a nominee to stand to represent the party in the next election.
We're going to see what's going to happen, because if he tries to suspend the election or interfere with it or any shape or form, oh Lord, he's going to realize how large the conservative base is, how large the silent majority is, and when we rise up, he may be running for his life.
Mhm. Oh, he'll be running to Dubai. Who knows?
Bye bye to Dubai.
Going home.
Oh, bye bye.
Going home. Yeah, back to Kenya. Those mud huts look pretty good right now.
One could hope. One could sure hope. But I think you're right, Val. I think he's He's going to do whatever damage he can do in the time he has left.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah.
He will.
This deal with Iran and Annie, you're bringing up the prisoner swap between Iran and the United States. Now, the United States handed over 7 prisoners. I have no idea who they are. Does anybody know who those 7 prisoners were?
No.
So we don't know if they came from Gitmo. We don't know where they came from either.
No, and a direct violation
Unreal.
of the Constitution and our U.S. laws. Congress was to be notified 30 days
Bingo.
in advance.
Yep.
And they have no idea who just got let out or where they're going. And that is an impeachable offense. And we're going to see, and I know our Congress is not going to impeach them. They're going to let it slide again. And, I mean... a lot of these members in Congress that are not allowing, because there are articles of impeachment sitting in the Judicial Committee in the House. They are sitting there, and they're not being released to be brought to the floor, and we've got to force them to the floor. So I know I'm going to be contacting my congressman and demanding that those articles of impeachment be brought to the floor, taken out of the Judiciary Committee. And anyone listening within my voice, even if you're listening to the podcast later on, you're here in the United States, contact your representative. Demand that these article impeachments be brought from the Judiciary Committee onto the floor. I don't care if it doesn't make it to the Senate. Once it is entered onto the minutes on the floor, it becomes public record, and every single count becomes public record, open for you or anyone else to read and look at. And if we can bring them out to the public, mainstream media will not keep it quiet. They will be forced to report it, and you will have access to it. And you will then be able to demand that your representative hold the hearing.
Unbelievable.
Rant number 2. You know, it's funny, as we're talking, a friend of mine, Colin Heaton, just sent me an email, and it happens to be an article I had already pulled up. We were talking about accommodating these Muslims. There's a manufacturing plant called Aaron's out in Wisconsin, and Somali Muslims had walked off the job because the company policy is that you go and say your prayers during your break. You know, they've got a factory to run. You know, the machines have to be manned all the time. You can't walk away. That is so dangerous. How many lives you put at risk if you leave an unattended machine? But they demanded that they have their prayer times. They're allowed to do it. So they ended up making a separate prayer room that they can go into and have their prayers. They made some concessions, but at the end, they said, all right, these are our rules, and this is what we're going to allow you. In all, 10 of them came back on the job saying, we like our job, and we'll adhere to your rules. So they're, oh, shoot, didn't turn off my speaker. Sorry about that. I'm not always perfect. Anyway, so the company said, well, no, this is the policy. If you want to work here, this is how you have to abide by policy. So companies are starting to say, maybe this Muslim thing isn't all that good a thing. You know, you think?
Did you say that was Cargill meatpacking plant?
No. It's called Aaron's, Ariens, Aaron's Manufacturing.
Oh, okay. Yep, because there was a similar incident at a Cargill meatpacking plant, and they fired 200 Somali workers for the exact same antics.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Great. It was great.
Yeah. Tanya and I are just sitting here with glee going, yay, battle's being won.
See, this is the same thing.
And it helps other people when it gets out in the public domain. And it helps other companies say, yeah, well, you know what? We have the same problem here. Yeah, we're going to do something about it. It emboldens other people, and it empowers them. So that's good. We need an avalanche of these things.
Yeah. Now remember, also you had the stewardess that she went through all the training, and she had been serving passengers. Then all of a sudden she decided because she's Muslim, she's not going to serve alcohol. And then, of course, she gets reprimanded and fired, so she sues, and she loses the lawsuit because you knew the rules when you got hired. You know, working for a company is voluntary. It's not mandatory, and you choose who you work for when you apply for that job. That is a conscious decision you make. So when you go in there, you know what the rules are, you know what the regulations are, and by accepting the hiring and accepting that paycheck, you have accepted the rules and recognized the rules. So there's no excuse. And
that's true.
With this guy, the owner, the spokesman for Aaron's Manufacturing, actually one of the owners made a statement that before last Thursday, Somali Muslims employed by Aaron's were allowed to leave the production line twice a shift to pray. 2 of the 5 prayers of their faith requires them daily. They prayed 5 minutes at a time at designating their specific duties to colleagues. A spokesman for the Brilliant-based equipment manufacturer said in a statement, in part, "We are asking employees to pray during scheduled breaks in designated prayer rooms. Our manufacturing environment does not allow for unscheduled breaks in production." Boom. Boom.
Just an update as to what went on with Cargill. And Call Me Mum said that Cargill actually gave in. But I just got this, and this is from last week, and that the Cargill meat plant, who fired those Somali workers, they will be able to reapply for their jobs if they want to come back. Now, they have changed their rehiring policy after firing over prayer disputes, but the 100-plus Somali workers fired by Cargill Meat Solutions in Fort Morgan during a workplace prayer dispute in December will be able to reapply for jobs at the beef plant later this month and here in January, should they want to come back. So it's not like they're coming back, as it were. They're simply being allowed to reapply for jobs. So that's interesting, though. In a way, they caved in. In a way, they made concessions, though, too.
It absolutely amazes me, and we're going to have a guest a little bit later on, Pastor Bill Owens, and he is a firebrand, and he's got this thing that they're having this weekend. Actually, not this weekend, tomorrow. Today's the 19th. Today is the 19th, right? Last time I looked.
Mm-hmm.
Starting this evening.
I think so. I don't know.
It's a whole big, across the United States, a meeting of religious individuals. I'm not talking about, the Pope or anything like that, but various individuals involved in faith and freedom and things like that. And he's out there saying, we've got to take the United States back. We've got to take our Constitution back. We've got to rebuild the Republic, and we have to do it through faith. I know, Tanya, that you are an atheist, but a lot of our founding principles are based upon the Ten Commandments in Christianity. And
I understand that. I respect that as well, that our whole entire civilization is based on Christianity.
Right. And it gives
so I have all kinds of respect.
Yeah, and this is where our Constitution was, the Declaration and the Constitution were founded, because in our Christian faith, we say, do unto others as you would have others do unto you, as a paraphrasing of it. So, you treat someone the same exact way you want to be treated. But what we're finding in Islam, it's no, you treat me the way I tell you to treat me, and I'll treat you any way I feel like treating you. And this is what Americans cannot abide by, because we believe in live and let live. So if I don't want you telling me whether or not I can fly a green flag, I'm not going to. Then don't criticize me. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
And that is
personal autonomy, isn't it? I mean, personal autonomy. That's part of the social contract, as dictated by the Golden Rule, which has formed our Western governments for. From the very beginning of our existence, as it were, ever since we had the Golden Rule. We have a right to personal autonomy, and we also have an obligation to respect a social contract, whereas this is lost upon the Mohammedans because they do not have a personal autonomy thought or individual movement, and this is where the cultures clash.
Yeah, this is exactly where the cultures clash, because they don't understand that. They don't understand freedom, the freedom to think what you want to think, freedom to say what you want to say. and be free of harassment or be free of contradiction is not a real freedom. You can say whatever you want to say, but you also have the responsibility to own up to what it is. So if I turn around and say, I can't stand you wearing red hair, well, you know what, Kel? You can turn around and tell me to go to jump people wherever. I have to be responsible for my words.
You're not getting your Christmas present, which, by the way, is still sitting on my desk.
You have to take responsibility for what you say. It's like this fight between Trump and Ted Cruz. They're fighting each other, but they're also taking responsibility for what they say. And this is not part of Islam. They're told what to think. They're told what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. Here in the United States, don't you dare even try to tell me what to think, when to do it, or how to do it, because you're going to find one pitch of a pitch right here. But they don't understand freedom. And I think it frightens them, the fact that you could have this. When you have someone or an animal that's been caged all its life, when you open up that cage door, they're not going to run out. They don't know what to do.
Yeah.
They're frightened. And this is what the mentality we're dealing with. And when we do challenge them, that's when they lash out, and that's when they commit their jihad, because we've frightened the Jesus out of them.
Yeah. Well, they don't understand the autonomous thinking thing.
No,
exactly.
And when you ask them to think something through, they're unable to. They cannot come to a logical conclusion. They're told that this is what it says in the Hadith. This is what it says in the Quran. This is how you must do it. This is what the Imam tells you to think, say, and do. And when you turn around and hand them an idea or a project and say, all right, think this through to the logical conclusion. I want you to go from point A to B to C. They're standing on point A, and they can't get off point A to B or C because they don't know how. They've been locked in that cage for so long, and you've got 1,600 years of being locked in that cage.
Mm-hmm.
It's been bred out of them, actually. You think about it. And the free will that we appreciate, the free will that in my Christian faith says it comes from God, that these rights are endowed to me, not by a man, not by a government, but by a supreme being, that no one else has a right to interfere with it.
And that is the difference between the Mohammedans and the Christians and the Jews, is that Christians and Jews, we have just to beat that old tired word again, autonomy, personal autonomy. But you're right, Annie. We have a responsibility, and that's part of the social contract. But we also have an ability to think for ourselves, to feel for ourselves, and to better ourselves, and to help to the betterment of a humankind that is around us. Unlike Islam, which is they don't understand. You see, the thing is that our God gave us the ability to think for ourselves and to guide ourselves via our conscience. That's our moral compass. And in Islam, they do not have a moral compass because they are externalized, and that they live, eat, breathe, sleep for the sake of Allah and via the teachings of the moon. Allah is a moon god. We know that. Well, they follow a lunar calendar, and say no more. But they have been following the teachings of that barking mad Muhammad for 1,400 years. It's groupthink, and they do not have a moral compass because they follow the dictates of the Quran, which has not been reformed in 1,400 years. And therefore, until either the Quran is reformed or Islam is treated as a political entity, there will never be any peace, because Islam does not follow the dictates of do unto others as you would have done unto yourself, and that is the golden rule. That does not exist in Islam, whereas it does exist with us, Christians and Jews.
Exactly. Now, I have a funny feeling I got my next guest calling in. Just remember, if you want me to bring you in on the line, please press 1 on your dial pad. Otherwise, I'm assuming that you're only listening in. Unfortunately, I'm not sure what phone number my guest is calling in from. And he just pressed 1, so let me bring this on. Area code 302, you're on the air live with Southern Sense. I'm your host, Annie, the radio chick. Who am I speaking to?
Hi, Annie. It's John Riddell and Pastor Bill Owens.
Hi, John and Pastor Owens. As you caught, we were at the tail end of this conversation. I have with us Tanya Groth and Kel Fritzy. Kel has also a radio show, Red Fox Radio, and she also is with the English Defense League. No, not English, Radio Jihad, right, Kel?
Oh, I'm with all of them. I'm at English Defense League Radio, Radio Jihad, and RFP. I'm all over the map. And Mr. Cardell, it's a pleasure to meet you. Or Mr. Riddell, my apologies. It's a pleasure to meet you, sir.
Nice to meet you as well.
All right, Pastor Owens, I was on your website just a little while ago, and I was playing the video recordings you have up there. God bless you, sir. I mean, I was watching it, and I'm cheering. I am cheering finally to hear someone say the things that you say.
Thank you very much.
As today, you're heading up to, I believe, North Carolina?
Here in Northeast Maryland.
Oh, Northeast Maryland. Okay. And you're going, I'm trying to scroll the screen because you sent me the program. You're at the Christian Citizens United Warriors for Christ conference, which is going on today through the 21st. John, tell us what that's all about.
Well, it's we decided about a year ago. We have people from about 20 states that get online every Wednesday night to talk about what's happening in America. And we decided that the missing ingredient was the Christian vote and the Christians showing up. So we formed Christian Citizens United, which is uniting all Christians, Catholics, Protestants, evangelicals, to try to start a movement to really turn out the Christian vote and to start voting our values. So we're meeting here today to discuss that. What are the issues we care about? How do we move forward with this movement? And how do we turn out the Christian vote? And thank God we have Pastor Bill Owens, who was with us, who was in the civil rights movement, who believes that President Obama is headed in the wrong direction, that our country has lost the moral center. And we have 30 pastors and faith organizations meeting tomorrow and the next day to discuss where do we go from here.
Yeah, and thank you for the invite, but I just got back yesterday from the Tea Party Coalition convention, and I am so wiped. I would have loved to go, but, man, I would love to be a fly on that wall, too, to see what you guys are discussing. Now, Pastor Owens, what do you think is one of the major problem that we have right now in the United States?
We have so many, but the one major problem that is turning this country upside down is the man in the position of the most powerful position in the world to condone same-sex marriage. After deceiving the American people, saying that he was for marriage between a man and a woman, and then knowing all the time he wasn't, the deal he made with the gay community was for his first election, he was said he was for marriage between a woman, but he would take it up the second election. And using that position has turned this country upside down because the President of the United States has a lot of power and a lot of influence, and he's worked hand in hand with them. And as far as I'm concerned, and I wrote this in my last newsletter, that this is the most dangerous thing that I've seen happen in America in my lifetime. We've had many challenges, but this will ruin the moral standard of America. It has put America on a downward path morally.
Well, I think it's even more than that. Our United States started losing its moral values, when the progressives started to rise in political power, and it just simply became cool to diss religion and all the values and things that came through a two-parent, a man and woman, two-parent household, and also with the walking away from religious institutions. It just simply became cool to not do that. And I think if we can get ourselves back to a father and mother together, married, raising a child, you find that when a child grows up in that environment, the child's more stable, more successful, more productive. The experiment that President Johnson put in place back in '64 with the welfare state and everything else is just not working.
It has not worked, and believe it or not, I did not even know until December that was all a plan to get blacks to convert to being Democrats. I did not know that President Johnson did that on purpose, to get black women on welfare, get the father out of the home. It was to destroy the black family, and they have been very successful in doing it. But the same-sex marriage agenda alone is not everything. It is destroying the family. What is normal? They're making everything wrong right and everything right wrong. And they are seeking to destroy not only the family, but Christianity. Everything for Christ, they cast aside.
Right. It's interesting because I think, John, you may have heard me on making this argument that the moment government defines marriage, government then defines religion, and then government takes over the First Amendment and tosses it right out the window. You know, we already have civil unions where states recognize the union of a couple in a domestic relationship. But when you take it the step further and have a religious institution perform the ceremony, it graduates from a civil union into a marriage. So I just keep on telling everyone, you want to win the LBGT argument, take the marriage out of the equation and then simply have the states define what a civil union is.
Well, I think you're right, but the thing about this, the gay marriage movement was never about equality in marriage. It was always about attacking the church, because once the state can define what marriage is, they can then define what religious organizations have to do. Look at the couple in New York that was fined $115,000 because they refused to hold a same-sex marriage on their farm. And the clerk down in Kentucky or Tennessee and the people in California who lost their bakery. This is about destroying faith. That's all it's about. Because the state knows that they do not have the right to define marriage. They have a right to define civil unions if they want to, but they cannot. Marriage is a sacrament of the church, period. And in doing that, they have captured the argument. And as Pastor Owen said earlier at a meeting this morning, the church has failed every bit as much as everyone else in not coming together and forming a movement to go defend religious liberty and defend our faith. And we have to do that. Patriot groups and faith groups must unite in this fight, because I believe that they would like to try to take away our guns. But the truth is, the Second Amendment fight right now is a Trojan horse so they can undo the First Amendment. And once that's undone, then they'll come here to the Second Amendment.
Yeah,
well,
right now we... Go ahead, Curtis.
Can you hear me, Annie? Okay. What do you think about abortion? This president also supports abortion, and I think that's a great thing on his part to be influencing the killing of unborn babies.
Abortion is murder.
Pure and
simple. It's murder. You think of this. A person that commits a crime and is sentenced to death, very few of them ever kill, but they automatically have an appeal. We can kill our babies every day, and the baby has nobody to speak up for that baby in the mother's womb. Nobody. But a murderer that can kill 100 people and give them a death sentence, he has a right to an automatic appeal, and he will appeal and appeal. Who speaks for that unborn baby? Nobody.
Mhm.
And the reason why I say that, because when I'm approached by people on the left, I always say, you should vote your conscience and your religion. In other words, how can you support a president who supports the things that he supports, like abortion and gay marriage? And that, for some of them, they start thinking.
Well, I have been against President Obama ever since he came out for same-sex marriage. I knew he was for same-sex marriage his first term, but the people that gave me my information from the inside of the gay community, I had to commit not to mention it until he actually came out publicly. And when he came out publicly and said he supports same-sex marriage, I had a news conference the very next week denouncing him. And so the president has taken this country on an immoral path. They plan to kill religion, take Christ out of America. And the pastors and many of the laymen are letting them do it. Where is the movement? Now, what they did, what the gay community did, they copied the civil rights movement to a T. They studied it, they copied it. They have a movement. We do not have a movement. We are so divided. People are so afraid of being accepted and being popular that they have refused to create a movement, and that's the reason I'm here and hope that we can get a movement started. We will only win if we have a movement. And that, by the way, I would like to mention, I would love for your listeners to go to our website, www.caapusa.org. That's CAAP, stands for Coalition of African American Pastors, USA.org.
The other thing, you're right about abortion. Abortion is a black mark on the soul of this nation. And God has taken away his veil of protection. Until we remove that law, we're right now in New York, as you all know, the birth rate to continue any population is 2.1%. In New York City and most of New York, the birth rate in the African American community is 0.95. And their plan is working. This is the eugenic strategy of Margaret Sanger. You get rid of an inferior race, and in her eyes, the black community are inferior. And we right now have laws in this country that we would have put to death Nazis for doing during World War II. That's how far this nation has slipped.
Well, it's also taking the easy way out, lack of responsibility. And Pastor Owens, you were talking about why aren't the churches and the synagogues all uniting to bring religion back? But we already have churches fracturing. You've got the conservative branch of each and every sect dividing with the progressive branch. It's happened in my own parish where a group has broken away because they didn't like the conservative bent on ourselves. I mean, you walk out and we've got pamphlets up there speaking out against the very issues that we're talking about. We're willing to take the stand in my parish. But then the parish that broke away from us goes around and hosts with a Unitarian church, and you know what that means when I say Unitarian.
I know what that means.
They hold a seminar for Love Thy Muslim Neighbor. They want to take the touchy-feely, let's take the easy road out, which is why people find abortion so likable, because now you don't have to be responsible for another person's existence. You don't have to worry about feeding them and clothing them. You just take the easy way out. You go in, you have the abortion, you go back home, you go back with your boyfriend or whomever, and you go to the mall or to the movies, or you sit on your computer and chat and Facebook or whatever. You take the easy way out and just refuse to be responsible for yourself or another human life.
And that's bad, and it's destroying America. It is absolutely destroying America. And as a black man, I will speak out. This country was built largely on slave labor. This country was built, and all you hear about are immigrants. But they want the immigrants so they can get the immigrants to vote for a certain party. That's the reason they want them in here. And so I will speak out. I don't care who it is, where it is. I will stand for what is right.
That's a huge amen to that. We have to bring people back to the core values that built this nation. As I was saying earlier,
right.
The one that the ideals and the morals and the courage that created the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. I fight to get people to come to my Tea Party meeting, but the thing is, they don't want to take a stand. Someone else is always there to do the fight for them. But I think we've come to the point in our nation where that no longer is true. Normally, it's 10% of us that fought to bring freedom and liberty to these shores, and the other 90% just sat back and enjoyed the fruits of labor. But now we can't even gather that 10%. We've got to rally the troops. We've got to awaken the sleeping giant as I said before, we're being poked. We're being poked by the LGBT community. We're being poked by the encroachment of Islam on our culture. We're being poked by progressivism and the Bernie Sanders communism. And, hey, listen, it's time for us to start poking back.
We're going to have to just stand up together. And I'm here at a great sacrifice because we have 2 babies and we don't leave our babies. But we decided to come here to see if we can get a start for a movement here. We're not going to win without a movement, I assure you. The civil rights movement was a movement. It was the poor people, the rich people, all of it, and it was not done with big money. This fight has big money. People can put millions and millions of dollars. The civil rights movement didn't really start getting money until they needed money to get students out of jail. They were in jail by the hundreds and by the thousands. That was when people really started getting money. The civil rights movement was built on old people, on young people who could give $1, a quarter, 50 cents, $1. It was not built with big money. And some people seem to feel that big money can solve the problem. Big money cannot solve the problem. It's going to take the people at every level to solve the problem. And we need to involve people of all economic level, all cultures, to get in this fight.
Well, you know, I
might tell you that also a website you can go to that we've just starting is Mid-Atlantic Trumpet. And that's going to be the online conservative newspaper where we're going to start talking about the truth about what's happening. So if you go there and people can look at that, and if they want to get involved, they can go to ChristianCitizensUnited.com and send a message and get in this movement with Pastor Owens, and let's start rallying and unifying patriot groups and faith groups and conservative groups into a single voice and movement. If we do that, we change the country back.
That's, again, a big amen. You know, people aren't paying really much attention to some of these other movements that we're talking about, like the LGBT community, until they see the backlash that's being caused by the lawsuits and the intimidation. And what really angered me is that a number of years ago, the LGBT community, I believe it was in Missouri, I don't know if I remember, it was Kansas City or St. Louis, they had a huge rally. And the supporters of this rally, above all, was CARE, the Muslims. And I kept on yelling, you know, you idiots, they're doing it for a reason, because they'll support you only just so far, and then once they take over, you're gone. You're their next target. You may be targeting us and attacking our religious freedom and our beliefs, but as soon as you're done tearing us apart and destroying religion, you're the next target. And this is a message we have to get out.
And we must get it out at the local level. It's going to take people that will go to local churches. First of all, win the pastor, get the pastor to allow us to come in with our message that he knows that we're going to talk about. And it's going to take us involving, as I said, the little people. And let me tell you where I get that word. When Dr. King started involving students and the masses, he was criticized by the NAACP, Roy Wilkins. And Jackie Robinson told Roy Wilkins, you must involve the little people. You all are the big people. You the leaders. You the important people in these fine offices. But until you involve them, in other words, he meant the ordinary citizen. Until you involve them, you're not going to win. And that stands today until we involve the masses, the little people, the mothers, the people that are poor. Until they are involved and convinced, we're not going to win this battle.
Yeah. Now, Tanya, you're involved in a very similar battle, even though you're not using religion, but you're using the little people over in Copenhagen to try to take your country back, aren't you?
Well, we're trying to use the average citizen to wake them up to the issue and to wake them up to the danger that's happening to our country. And people are actually, I would say I'm fairly proud of the Danes. They're doing not too badly, but
certainly a great deal better than some other European countries, such as Sweden, where they have been pretty much brainwashed for years and years and years and years and years, to the point that they are simply unable to tell the truth because they are afraid of being called racist, Islamophobes, kind of thing. Where the Danes have I would say, well, I don't know why we have a better tradition of actually saying things as they are. And but even here, yeah, of course, I've been called a racist and Islamophobe, but people are starting to wake up. We saw that in the last election here, where we had the Danish Folk Party. You know, they're on the right. They're rather conservative. So people are turning away from our traditional old socialist ways and starting to think for themselves. So yeah, it is a battle here as well. It's trying to rally the forces of the average person, get them away from the couch, get them. You know, that is the hardest bit, right? You know, just putting up this demo for Saturday. People have a million excuses for not going. I have to clip my toenails. I have to feed a cat. You know, it's all kinds of stuff. And it's just, how do you rally people to actually really take an interest and do something and get off their duff?
Well, John,
that's my big challenge.
John, that's a good question. How do we end up rallying the troops?
Well, I think, first of all, you're going to have a commitment that's larger than yourself. And you're going to have a commitment that says, I don't care who gets credit as long as it gets done. And we're going to have the patriot groups and the faith groups merge together and realize it's not about the First Amendment or the Second Amendment. It's about the Bill of Rights, period. And when one falls, they all fall. And we have to start telling people that Bill Owens said it best. If we lose this next election, we lose America. And that's the truth. So if that does not rally people, and I don't know what does, and we have to start saying and meet your group, our group, like we're doing here today with these 30 different groups. We have to do that again on a larger scale and keep meeting till we get the leadership on board and say, let's go together. For instance, Christian Citizens United, the website I gave you, is not an organization. It raises no money. It has no status. It's not incorporated. It's a website. And what we say that because we're not raising money, we're not trying to get members, every organization can be part of that movement. And that's what we have to do, a movement that has no identity other than the movement itself. And when we do that, we win. And I'm sorry, Pastor Owens and I have to leave because we have some things ready to start for the conference. So we appreciate this, and we hope you'll have us back again soon.
All right, and there will be a link up on the webpage, and a lot of the hits we get are in the podcast afterwards, so people can always click on it, find out more information as they listen. So I want to thank you for everything you're doing. Good luck up there that weekend, and God bless you for all the hard work you're doing, both you and Pastor Owens.
Thank you very kindly. God bless you.
God bless you. Talk to you soon.
Okay, John Randall and Pastor Bill Owens. And check out the websites that are going to be up on the show page at the end of the show. Okay. Cal, this is what we need: men and women like that are willing to step forward. People like you, the hard work you're doing, Tana, the thing that you're doing down in Copenhagen. We need people willing to take on the leadership role, grab people by the seat of their pants, get them off the couch, and say, "Come on, this is what you're going to lose. Don't you?"
Well, it's now. It's now. It's happening. This is no longer
this is the fight.
Sit around and waiting. This is the fight.
Yeah,
this is the big one.
The fight. And, you know, when I was at the convention all weekend, this is the very same thing I heard. He said exactly the same words I heard over and over and over again, one person right after another. And I don't think a single person even disagreed with it. If we don't take this election, we will not have this nation next year. We will not be having this conversation next year. Everyone kept on saying, if we don't do it, we will not have a convention next year because it is over. It's done. Put a fork in it.
And this brings me to...
I agree. I agree.
Yeah. And you know, Curtis, this is really worrisome to me as a Canadian in that I always say on my radio programs that as the United States goes, so does the rest of us. The United States is a superpower, and Canada being right next door, we are the United States' largest trading partner as well. And well, our I don't know, our dollar is really bad right now. I think it's like 62 to the greenback or something like that. But if the United States falls, I'm afraid so do the rest of us, because we rely on the United States to provide a sense of global stability, and that is not only with our monetary, our governmental systems, but our social systems. And that if we lose the United States, we're losing Canada, we're losing the UK, and Tanya, she can speak for Copenhagen as well. But if we lose the United States, you're right, Annie, this election is going to be one of the most crucial we've seen in decades. And ever, sure.
Well, what I'd like to know is, how's that socialized medicine working up in Canada?
It's not too bad, actually. We have a private public health care, but we also have a fairly good system. But Canada is only a population of 33 million. We're a large geographically, but population-wise, we're a very, very, very tiny country. And so far, socialized medicine is working out, but we are having issues with the influx of people that are arriving in the country with no benefits, no sense of self-resource. So yeah, we have a social, the social safety system. It's bottoming out a little bit, but we do have private, public, and I have to say though, my personal experience is that we call it universal health care. And my experience with universal health care has always been positive. I had to, for example, last month, go in for surgery. I was diagnosed with a situation, just a minor situation. It was more an irritant than anything. And I was diagnosed in October, and I had my surgery done the first week of December. And I see the surgeon on a regular basis for a follow-up. And my experiences have always been positive. So it's not too bad in Canada, but my goodness, Curtis, you guys in the United States, you could never, ever get socialized medicine off the ground. Not a chance.
Well, they've been trying, and actually we're starting to see parts of it collapse. And thankfully so that we're seeing parts of it collapse, but unfortunately people are paying for it. And the closest we have to socialized medicine is the system that you're stuck in, Curtis, which is the VA. Some VA groups are great, others are absolutely horrendous. Compare the group that you're in, Curtis, to the one in Phoenix, where they still don't know how many vets died because of the lack of care that was given to them. They still don't know. And not one vet should have died because of the VA. Not one. That in itself is also murder. Our friend Sergeant Dave Davis passed away a few months back because the VA consistently misdiagnosed him until the cancer was just so far advanced, nothing could be done. But that's what they're hoping. They hope to outweight you while they steal your money, while they demand that you give up your guns and your benefits. It's the biggest scandal and disgrace that our nation faces, and not enough people are talking about it. But now we're going to be taking in all these Muslim refugees and immigrants, and they're going to be coming in by floods and waves, and they're going to get all the benefits, the welfare, the Medicaid, the Section 8 housing, the food stamps, the free Obama phones, the free internet, the free education. And it's going to be the jizya. It's going to be the tax. And they're going to say, oh, you owe it to us, so you have to work for us and pay us. And that's going to be the attitude. And we've got to put a stop to it. We've got to go back to our original immigration laws that we had in the 50s, where you had to be sponsored, you had to have a job waiting, you had to have a family to take care of you, you had to have a place to live, and you had to promise to not be on any social welfare system for 5 years. 5 years you're on your own completely. and then prove that you are eligible to become a citizen. Because if you're working for 5 years and you've earned everything you have, you're not going to give it up to go on to public assistance.
Exactly.
You want to
that's a good working model.
Yeah. So we've got to start denying these benefits. We've got to start restricting those that are already receiving them and saying, all right, fine, you're going to have these benefits for another 6 months, but you must find a job. And once you get a job, we're going to start cutting those benefits down and back until you're 100% independent. Go back to that welfare to work system that New York used, that Wisconsin uses. I believe Maine is putting it back into effect, and say, hey, listen, and the same thing goes with housing. You can have this housing for 6 months until you find yourself a place to live, and then you've got to go. No more help with all the other stuff unless you are 100% disabled and a senior citizen unable to work any longer.
Well, that is what Switzerland is doing right now when they are demanding that if you're a migrant and you have assets, well, we're going to seize them, and this will enable us to help you get started. If you stay in the country after 7 months, we keep the money. If you decide to leave before the 7-month trial period, as it were, we'll give you your assets back and kick your ass out the door. Thank you very much. And I think more countries should be taking that approach.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Here.
we have too many immigrants arriving on our shores that have absolutely no assets, and they are a drain on the social safety net. Yeah.
Yeah. Illiterate, no education, no money, no nothing. Oh yeah, well some of them have gold, which of course they're complaining over that Denmark wanted to seize their jewelry and such. Problem is, the thing is a lot of these countries, they have their valuables in gold. They don't have paper money.
Yeah, exactly. And paper money can devalue, but gold, it may go down in value, but you still have a tangible asset. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of great ideas that we're floating around here that should be actually sitting in Congress. And we should be having Congress have this debate. We've got to take it away and say Islam is not a religion and it's not a race. It's a pseudo-political system. And now we have to treat it as such. Now, does it fit into our political system? No, it does not match the model of our political system. If they want to treat them as a political party, just like communism is a political party, that's even better. Because now we have something we can hold up to the American public and say, look at it this way. You know, their political party may believe in sticking their ass, I'm going to say it anyway, sticking their ass up in the air 5 times a day to pray to an idol. But, you know, you can be a Democrat and be a Christian. You can be a communist and be a Christian, even though that's an oxymoron. You can be a socialist and be a Christian. Again, another oxymoron. You can be a Republican and be a Christian. You can be Green Party and be a Christian. Or actually, most likely they'll be hugging a tree instead of praying to our God. But, you know, we separate political system from religion. So at this point in the United States, Islam should be outlawed because it does not separate religion and politics.
You know, Annie, that is so true, because if we could categorize Islam for what it is, and we know it's not a religion, we know it's a political system, if we could get Islam de-indexed as a religion and treat it as a political system, then we would have a real empirical working model in how to treat this political party.
Yeah, exactly. And then that means that anyone who commits jihad is committing treason, because now it is one government attacking another government. It is citizens of one government attacking the citizens of another government. Jihad is not a religious act. It is treason. And if we identify it as treason, the American public can understand it a lot better. But, I'm being Islam. How the hell do you say that? Islamophobia? Whatever.
Islamophobia, yeah. Tanya and I are more than familiar with those terms, Tanya?
Yeah, indeed we are. Yeah, but you know what? They just they're like water off a duck now. I really hope I really don't care what anybody calls me. No. No, I just say that's the weak person's way out. They can't argue. They can't argue their case. They just call you a racist or a Islamophobe, and then they think they win the win the argument hands down. Well, they don't. They just show themselves as losers.
You always know when you're dealing with a liberal when they throw ad hominems at you, and then you just don't. You just ignore them. You pat them on the head and say, "Please go away. The adults are talking."
Yeah, I simply can't be bothered.
Well, I can't believe this. We're inside our last 10 minutes on the show. This show has gone so fast, has it not, Curtis?
Oh.
Very fast, sometimes too fast.
Way fast.
I couldn't get in. But I think I had some mic problems.
Well, I'm so glad that I had a chance to speak with you, Curtis. And, every time I listen to your Nanny show, I learn something new about you every day. I did not know that you were a military man, are a military man. A soldier never retires. And, Curtis, I just want to say, personally, thank you. Just thank you so much.
I appreciate that. It's my honor to serve.
Well, Curtis, ask your wife what.
I work along with some of your guys up there in Canada. We sell some of the same seeds.
Yeah. Yes. My father was with the Canadian Navy in the 1960s, and he was a sonar detector in the little submarines there, and they went up and down the eastern seaboard looking for the Ruskies.
we kind of envy you guys because you had pubs on your ships and we didn't.
Oh, God.
Well, Curtis, you know what happens when you get a bunch of women together and there's only one man in the room? Sit down and listen. Sit down and shut up.
Well, just shut up and listen.
Tanya,
just nod your head and, off of the yacht. Yes, honey, I agree.
Tanya, I want to thank you for joining us. It has been an absolute pleasure, and I welcome you on the show again at any time. Just let me know when you and Kel want to turn around and turn the world upside down on the show here.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah, Tanya and I, we really turn the airwaves on his ears sometimes. Tanya, you and I, girl, and
Annie.
We
can go for it.
Yeah, the three of us will really have to go out for drinks and just tear the place up. I don't know, because the three of us could create havoc. We'll have Curtis act as designated driver.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Well, I think we chased Tim out of the chat room too. So Tim went to go hide. You've got a show on tonight, don't you?
We do, and Tim had to disappear and take a nap. He was on a huge a civic-minded assignment today, and it was a lot of driving for him. And I told him to beg off, for the night. But he's taking a nap, determined to be at the Radio Jihad Network tonight. And we're the Freedom. We are Infidels are watching at 6 p.m. Eastern Time.
Oh,
and Wild Bill for America is going to be joining us.
I was just talking to him yesterday. I was just saying goodbye because he was supposed to be up in Myrtle Beach on Sunday early, and he didn't make it until later. So he ended up calling in from his car phone and did a 10-minute with us before the end of the show. And then as I was leaving yesterday, I went down and deliberately looked out for him and gave him a big hug and kiss and told him I'm going to call him and I'll have him on the show.
Sweet.
Yeah.
He's the sweetest man. Every time I ask him to come on the show, I have to give him a little bit of Canada. I gave him the Queen Charlotte Islands this time to be on the show tonight.
Oh, I got to remember also to put up, I did take one picture the entire weekend, and there's a picture of me I have to post up. I'm standing in between Lieutenant Colonel Bill Cowan and David Webb. So I gotta get that up on the website soon. But I want to thank everyone for joining us. And Curtis, we had a great time on the show here, and we're going to be back on. Yeah, well, I had a lot of fun, even though we didn't let you talk too much.
That's okay. We'll get on.
Oh, thank you for having me, Annie and Curtis. I had a wonderful time.
Right,
Same here.
I'm going to do my best to try to pop into your show later on. But on Friday, we're going to be back with the Millennials Guide to Saving the World, and this is by Doug Marinello. It's a short book. It's only like about 140 pages. No, it's a little bit more, 160 pages. And it's basically on how to get the youth involved and how to return the United States to the greatness it once was. It's the Millennial Guide for Saving the World, The Battle for 2016. It's a book for all Americans. Stand up, embrace patriotism, or surrender and accept tyranny. And this is where we're at. We either fight or face tyranny. So I tell you, until then, I want to say good night and God bless, and I will see you on Friday. Until then.
If you like your health care plan, you'll be able to keep your health care plan. Health care plan. Health care plan.
Breaking your back, we're gonna redistribute when we make our face tax. Hey, sit back down, don't be a jerk, cause none deserve it better than the ones who won't work. We're gonna throw away what our forefathers wrote. Use your hard-earned money just to buy a new boat. Welcome to the place. Welcome to the place of the left hypocrisy. Little peak houses for you and me. And telephone to Bob, that's all you lost. Political correctness will replace the Bill of Rights. Support religious freedom, bless you, pray to Jesus Christ. The presence in our pockets, but there's no one free. You cannot make a move now that the NSA can see. Don't expect equality, respect, or fair play. The IRS will target those who vote the wrong way. Welcome to the place. Welcome to the place of the left hypocrisy. For you and me, oh, welcome to the face. Welcome to the face of the new democracy. Here in the land of the not so free. Oh, oh,
This is the most transparent administration in history. Not even a smidgen of corruption.
Fact is, we had 4 dead Americans. What difference at this point does it make?
If you got a business, you didn't build that.